Red Bull just got the kind of news that can change Monaco before the cars even leave the garage. Because the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile has launched an investigation into Mercedes' brake trick, and for Max Verstappen, this is either the biggest opportunity of Red Bull's season or the worst possible warning. Canada exposed the truth. The podium looked good, but the RB22 did not. Verstappen was fighting the bump so badly, he said his feet were slipping on the pedals. Red Bull admitted they're still exploring the car, still searching for direction, still giving their drivers a machine that can feel different every time it leaves the garage. And now Mercedes may have the one thing Monaco rewards more than anything: brake confidence. 1 meter later on the pedal can mean pole position. Pole position can mean control. And control can mean victory before Sunday even begins. So if Mercedes cross a line, Red Bull may have just found the crack they needed. But if Mercedes did it legally, the truth is even more brutal. Red Bull is not just chasing Mercedes on pace. They are chasing the secret that makes a car calm when the walls are closing in. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why this investigation hits Red Bull so hard, you have to begin with the part Canada almost disguised: the podium. Max Verstappen finished third, and from a distance, that looked like a lifeline. Red Bull needed a result. Verstappen needed something to show that the fight was not completely slipping away. The team needed proof that the RB22 still had enough potential to survive difficult weekends and punish mistakes ahead. And Canada gave them that, but only on the surface, because the podium did not feel like dominance. It did not feel like Red Bull had suddenly solved the car. It did not feel like Verstappen stepped out of the cockpit with the calm expression of a driver who finally trusted the machine underneath him. It felt like a rescue, and rescue is not the same as control. That difference matters more before Monaco than it would anywhere else, because Monaco does not reward cars that need rescuing. Monaco rewards cars that are ready from the first serious lap, cars that stop cleanly, cars that rotate naturally, cars that give the driver the same answer every time he reaches the brake pedal. Red Bull does not fully have that yet. That is why Verstappen's Canada comments became so alarming. He was not only talking about a lack of pace, he was talking about the basic physical connection between himself and the car. The bumps were so disruptive that his feet were slipping on the pedals. For most people, that sounds like a strange detail. For a Formula One team, it is terrifying because the pedals are not just controls. They are the driver's last point of trust before everything happens. Before the car turns, before the tires accept the load, before the rear settles or steps out, before the driver commits to the corner. If the foot does not feel planted, the mind does not feel free. And Verstappen is at his most dangerous when he is free. He does not need a car that is gentle. He does not need a car that flatters him. He has built part of his greatness on driving machinery that others would call uncomfortable. But the car has to be honest. It has to respond with logic. It has to give him a feeling he can repeat. In Canada, too much of that feeling was missing. And now the sport goes to Monaco, the one circuit where missing trust is not a weakness, it is a threat. At Monaco, the driver does not have time to negotiate with the car. He cannot arrive at Saint-Devote wondering whether the rear will stay with him. He cannot approach Mirabeau waiting to see if the brake bite feels different. He cannot attack the Nouvelle chicane with half belief. He cannot finish the lap through Rascasse while leaving a safety margin and expect to beat a rival that has total confidence. Every corner demands commitment. Every wall asks for proof. And every braking zone exposes whether the car is a weapon or a problem. This is where the Mercedes investigation becomes huge for Red Bull, because the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile is now looking at the exact part of the car that could decide Monaco before Sunday even begins. Not a straight line advantage, not a simple power difference, not something Red Bull can easily dismiss by saying the track layout will hide it. Braking, the one area where Monaco turns a small edge into something massive. A brake trick does not need to make the car faster everywhere. It only needs to make the driver more certain at the moments that matter. 1 meter later into the corner, one cleaner release of the pedal, one more stable rear end, one tire that stays closer to the right temperature, one lap that feels repeatable when the pressure is at its highest. That can become pole position. And in Monaco, pole position can become control. That is why Red Bull cannot treat this like background noise. Because Mercedes is not just another rival. Mercedes is the team setting the standard. Mercedes has the points. Mercedes has the momentum. Mercedes has been operating with the kind of confidence Red Bull used to carry as its own identity. Now Mercedes is being questioned in the one area Red Bull desperately needs to master. That is the part that stings. Red Bull's problem is not only that Mercedes might have a clever solution. Formula One is full of clever solutions. Every great team finds details that others miss. The problem is that Mercedes may have found a solution that gives drivers exactly what Verstappen has been asking Red Bull to give him. A car that behaves. A car that repeats. A car that lets the driver trust the brake pedal when the wall is close and the lap is alive. If Mercedes has that, and Red Bull does not, the Monaco Grand Prix becomes a very different kind of fight. It becomes a fight between calm and frustration. And calm usually wins in Monaco, because calm lets a driver get closer. Calm lets him brake later. Calm lets him keep building through the weekend instead of resetting his mind every time the team changes direction. Calm makes the car feel smaller, sharper, easier to place. Frustration does the opposite. It makes the driver think. And thinking at Monaco can be expensive, not intelligent thinking. Drivers are always processing, but the wrong kind of thinking. The kind that asks, will the car stop this time? Will the rear move again? Will the bump unsettle me? Will the pedal feel the same? Can I risk another half meter? Those questions slow the hands before the stopwatch ever sees the answer. This is why Red Bull's own situation matters so much. The team has admitted it is still exploring the car. That might sound normal, but for Red Bull, with Verstappen, in a season where Mercedes is already far ahead, it carries a much heavier meaning. It means the concept is not settled. It means each session can still become an experiment. It means the drivers are not simply refining performance. They are helping the team discover which path is even correct. That is not how a champion wants to arrive in Monaco. Verstappen does not want a car that feels different every time it leaves a garage. He does not want to prove that a setup direction was wrong after already feeling it would be wrong. He does not want to spend the most precise weekend of the season waiting for the car to explain itself. He wants clarity. And Red Bull is not giving him enough of it. That is why this investigation becomes both an opportunity and a warning. If Mercedes has crossed the line, Red Bull may have found a way to stop a key rival advantage before Monaco locks the race into place. That would be massive. It could change the balance of qualifying. It could remove confidence from a car that looked too calm. It could give Verstappen a cleaner shot at turning Red Bull's fragile opportunity into something real. But if Mercedes does not cross the line, the news becomes darker, because then Red Bull has to accept that Mercedes may simply understand the braking phase better. And that is much harder to fix. An illegal trick can be banned. A legal advantage has to be chased. A legal advantage means a rival found performance window first. And now everyone else has to catch up with less time, less certainty, and more pressure. That is the nightmare hidden inside the investigation. It could help Red Bull. Or it could show Red Bull exactly how far behind they really are. And before Monaco, that distinction matters. Because Monaco gives Red Bull reasons to hope. The long straights are limited, so their engine weakness hurts less. The slow and medium speed corners can help the RB22 if the balance arrives. The reduced energy management could ease some of the frustration Verstappen has felt with the current generation of cars. And if Max qualifies near the front, overtaking is so difficult that he can protect position. That is the optimistic version. But every part of that optimism depends on one condition: trust. If the RB22 is not stable, the circuit will expose it. If the car is nervous over bumps, Monaco will punish it. If the pedal connection feels uncertain, Verstappen will feel immediately. If Red Bull is still searching for direction, the weekend can start slipping away before qualifying even begins. That is a risk. And Mercedes' brake trick, whether legal or not, makes the risk feel sharper because it points to the exact contrast Red Bull fears most. Mercedes with repeatability. Red Bull with uncertainty. Mercedes with braking confidence. Red Bull with a driver still asking for a car that speaks clearly. Mercedes with control. Red Bull chasing control. That is why the investigation changes the emotional balance of the paddock. Suddenly, Mercedes is not just fast. Mercedes is under a microscope. Every braking zone will be watched. Every onboard lap will be studied. Every smooth corner entry will create another question. Is that just a great car, or is that the trick? Red Bull wants that question in the air. Pressure can affect a race weekend. Engineers become more careful. Drivers get asked uncomfortable questions. Team leaders have to defend what they would rather keep quiet. The garage feels less invisible. Rivals look closer. Cameras look longer. And before Monaco, that pressure has value. But pressure on Mercedes does not automatically create confidence in the Red Bull. That is the hard truth. Red Bull still has to do its own work. The car still has to stop bouncing through Verstappen's confidence. The pedals still have to feel stable. The balance still has to give him a predictable entry. The team still has to stop searching long enough to give Max a foundation he can attack from. Because Max can cover a lot, but he cannot cover everything. He can drag a result out of a difficult weekend. Canada proved that. He can stay patient when the race opens up. He can put pressure on rivals when there is even half a chance. He can turn a third place into something that looks better than the car deserved. But Monaco asked for something else. It asked for one perfect lap. And one perfect lap cannot be built on doubt. It has to be built on certainty. Corner by corner, braking zone by braking zone, wall by wall. This is why the first serious runs in Monaco will matter so much. Not only the lap times, the behavior of the car, the way Verstappen commits, the way the RB22 handles bumps, the way Mercedes stops, the way the rear of each car behaves on entry, the way the drivers sound when they come back on the radio. The truth will appear quickly. If Mercedes still looks calm under braking, the investigation will feel even bigger. If Red Bull looks nervous, Canada will not feel like the past. It will feel like a warning that followed them into the principality. If Verstappen attacks immediately, Red Bull can breathe. If he hesitates, even slightly, the whole weekend becomes heavier. Because hesitation in Monaco is not just a feeling. It is lap time. And lap time becomes track position. And track position becomes a race. That is why this story is so important for Red Bull. It is not only about whether Mercedes has broken a rule. It is about whether Red Bull can still produce the one thing Verstappen needs most. A car he believes. If they can, then the investigation becomes a weapon. It puts pressure on Mercedes, gives Red Bull a psychological opening, and allows Verstappen to turn Monaco into a fight. If they cannot, then even the investigation may not be enough, because a rival under pressure can still win if your own car does not answer. And that is the real danger for Red Bull. Mercedes may be questioned, but Red Bull is being tested. Tested by its own car. Tested by Verstappen's patience. Tested by a circuit that punishes uncertainty. Tested by a rival that may have found confidence where Red Bull is still searching. So when the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile launches this investigation, Red Bull has every reason to see it as huge news.